Hi there, and welcome to the fifth part in this video tutorial series on tidal cycles, the live coding language. Today we're going to be talking about some interesting pattern making, particularly using Euclidean sequences, which are quite a complicated. It's quite a complicated system. I'm just going to be briefly touching on how it works today. If you want to look into it, there's various papers and various things written into it, which I'll try and link in the description to this, but we're just going to do a very brief sort of demonstration of it today. So if we were to load up a basic sound, again, let's stick with, let's not go basic, let's go tabla 2 again. I like these tabla sounds. So there's the tabla sound looping around. And what we've been looking at before is, say, multiplying it by certain numbers or doing certain polyrhythms and stuff. But what we can do with a Euclidean sequence, I'm just going to hush it for a second, is we can create quite interesting rhythms with it. Now, I'll give you a demonstration one right here, which is if we put brackets after the sample that we're using, and then this gives we're using 5 and 8. And what it's actually going to do here is essentially what it's doing is it's playing 5 of these samples of the tabla, but it's trying to split them up as evenly as possible over a sequence of 8 steps. But obviously 5 doesn't divide perfectly into 8, so there's always going to be these 2 that are particularly close together. If you see what I mean, it's trying to sort of divide it nicely. But if I play this back, you get quite an interesting rhythm, something that you could create using a sort of standard pattern sequencing, but it's much simpler to do this way. And you can do this with pretty much any number. You can also do it with multiple. It's not just 2 numbers. You can do it with 3, I think 4 as well. It does get really quite complicated, but it's something that's really worth playing about with, trying to get some interesting patterns. And you do get some really. You can create a lot of, especially if you have multiple versions of this layered over each other. You can create some quite. Well, you can create much more interesting patterns rhythmically than you would be able to create normally, or at least it's more intuitive this way. The other thing you can do with this is going back to. This is kind of going back to what I was talking about in the last video, where we're sort of sequencing effects more than. It's kind of similar to what we're doing before, with sequencing effects and then applying sound patterns to it. But in this one, we're going to be sort of specifying initially the pattern that we're using. So, actually, I'll just play what sounds like a 5/8. Okay, but there's a shorthand way to do it, which is if you do a $ E before the $ sound at the start, then here we can provide, again without inverted commas, if we provide the 5/8 there, it's the same pattern. So it's sort of shorthand way of doing it, but this way it applies this pattern to everything that we provide to it in the sound pattern. So it's essentially sort of treating it as one large unit. Now this means we can say that's tabla 2. We can also provide a snare drum, say. And we could create whatever, using the various techniques we've discussed already. We can create some wild patterns in the sound anyway, and we can then apply this Euclidean sequencing to that and create some really. It's a nice way of creating much more sort of interesting, and say not random, but less sort of straightforward patterns. So I'm going to play back with that wee bit. didn't seem to like it there when I tried doing a sort of Euclidean sequencing within a Euclidean sequence. But this, I mean, you get the idea from that, sort of possibilities from it. One of the other things you can do here is you can also pattern the parameters within parenthesis, and you can start to create patterns of the numbers that you're using for the Euclidean sequencing. So let's go back to this basic tabla sound again with the 5/8. So this again is doing the 5 tabla hits over a series of 8 steps. But say if I wanted to, for example, alternate it between 5 and 3, I can then pattern that as this. So we do 5 and 3 in the square brackets and divide that by 2. If we do that before the 8 in it, as you see there, we should get and we can sequence this to whatever extent we want. We can do, so there's 5, 3, 7, 2. We're dividing it by 4, so it's not just running through every cycle. It's going to take 4 cycles to do each one. And that there, even just in one unit is, and now obviously I say this is just 1 unit, we can then treat that as 1 unit of many units in the pattern. So you can create some really quite interesting, I mean it's really is, you can make it as complicated as you want to with this. There's also a guide on the Tidal website which sort of talks about some of the patterns being, about some of these patterns being linked with various cultures and such. Give an example of certain ones. So you have, let's see, you have the, pardon pronunciation here, but you have the Urokanica Bulgarian folk dance rhythm, which is 4/7. And you have the pattern used by Frank Zappa in the piece Outside Now, which is 4/11. And the Cuban Kinsey Low pattern, again, apologies for pronunciation. So there are certain ones that already have certain cultural implications, but I highly recommend having a look through the ones on the website. And as I say, I'll also, as well as provide a link to that, there's also provide a link to a couple of sort of articles on the sort of Euclidean sequencing if you want to learn more about it. But yeah, thank you very much.